Welcome to Talking Down the Highway, a Beach Boys podcast presented by Strange Currencies Music. I'm Matt.
I'm Glenn.
I'm Tim.
Hey, Bowie.
That's Bowie.
Hey, Bowie.
Barking on tape and in real life.
Dig that royalty-free
That's some
to
good
us
royalty-free
music.
music. I like that. We've never really,
Royalty-free to us.
yeah.
Yeah, don't fucking use it.
Yeah, not to
We
the
got to
rest of y'all.
maximize our royalty-free music there. Some good stuff.
It is available for licensing for car commercials, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're back after a whole week.
Car commercials and Seinfeld episodes.
Seinfeld episodes, I guess.
Yeah, it's been quite a week.
It's been.
Lots of 2 weeks.
I can't believe spring break just flew by like that.
Oh,
I feel like I wasted it. I can't even remember it.
I remembered it. I had a heck of a spring break. It was glorious. I went to California, saw opening day, Dodger baseball.
Ew.
Yeah, it was good times.
They got throttled by...
Shut your mouth. Shut your
We were
mouth.
just talking about Shaft.
All I remember is I got to Cancun, and then it all goes black from there. Yeah.
And you came back, and now you have a tattoo on your back.
Not just
Lower
there.
back.
Yeah.
A Mike Love tattoo.
You're in a cult.
I got a tattoo and some weird burning sensations.
Well...
Yeah, I think I
drop,
might be
drop
in
in
a
the
cartel.
comments what you did on your spring break. Loyal listeners.
It's almost as if your summer never ended. You're just,
you're jumping the gun here. Glenn.
Sorry.
Endless spring break. That's what this next one's called.
Break.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about the Beach Boys, but
Yeah.
and nothing else going on in our world.
I was driving down the highway.
Ooh, were you honking?
I was honking. I flew down and I drove back.
Did you steal a car?
Rented a car.
Oh, okay.
Down the highway. I haven't honked on the way back, but I will honk all the way back.
I actually think I'm gonna...
Weirdly, you know what's weird? You could actually listen to this podcast
While honking.
Wow.
taking that. Whoa,
Honk up.
my mind is fucking blown right now.
I just want to say something about honking. I've decided to start using the horn in my car more.
Nice.
Because it doesn't have to be like a rage thing. It's literally an alert. It's like a safety thing.
Yeah.
Like the other.
It never sounds like it's not a rage thing. Though,
Well,
you
but
know?
that's why you just do a little honk.
Oh yeah,
Because I've done
sorry,
that
watching
before.
hockey.
Oh Jesus! Like recently, that happened where someone in front of me. I forget. I feel like it might have been even on the freeway or something. But they were being dumb. They weren't going, and I gave them a little honk. And they were like, "Oh shit!" And
Yeah,
then they
there's
started
a way to
moving,
do it.
and
If it's
fine.
a quick me.
I think it was a green light. It was a green light, and they weren't moving. I was like, "Oh." And you know what?
A little.
If I
meat.
hadn't done that, maybe I would have gotten enraged. But instead, I was just like, "Hello," and then we started.
It's a good way to honk down the highway.
If you give a quick little meep, it's all right.
A meep, exactly.
Yeah, not if you hang on it, you're being a fucking asshole.
mean,
And you know what? Have either of you guys noticed just the increase in assholes on the road?
Oh yeah. Well, idiots at least. Yeah. But
idiots and
too.
assholes.
Yeah,
I have found so many times recently, I drive through multiple school zones every morning on the way
That's
to
kind
work.
of creepy, but yeah.
And
you slow down when you do it. It's very weird, man.
I slow down.
You get down to 20.
But no, I have been tailgated so much by people.
There's a flashing
right
light.
on me in a fucking school zone, and then when I'm
right.
out of the school zone, I just keep driving super slow. It's like fuck you all.
Can't be too
Wait,
careful.
so are you the asshole? Or
No, I am responding.
You drive 20 in a
okay.
school zone, and some of them even have flashing lights, so you know.
They literally have flashing
and it's
lights.
the
one
time
that,
of day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that in India it is considered rude if you don't honk? In India, everyone honks. It's to alert. It's to let them know
The
where
proper
where
name
they
is
are.
Yeah.
Native America.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Yeah.
well, in some
if
countries,
you drive
on,
in India,
Glenn.
it's constant honks.
Have
It's like
some
beep beep.
sensitivity.
I'm coming up behind you.
I think it might be similar in Vietnam, where some countries they just don't really have traffic laws. Everything just flows. There's a natural flow to it. There's
Constant
no lanes.
honking.
Yeah, and you got to do
But
that
it's
kind of
just
thing.
communicating. If
Right,
you
right.
don't, and
Are
on
you
sides
saying
of
they're
buses,
just naturally
it says,
good drivers? That's racist.
Please honk. Please honk.
Racist against Americans. I just want to say real quick that the only time it's acceptable to lay on your horn is if it is La Cucaracha. Because that's the only way you get the whole melody out there.
Oh, if your horn is, yeah.
Like Homer's car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Homer.
And preferably you have a separate bubble for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Optional restraints.
Optional restraints.
If you happen to be honking down the highway, you should hit like and subscribe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're driving.
You should get on Strange Currencies Music.
.com. Don't forget the .com.
Is there anything going on?
It doesn't work if you don't put the
Don't go
.com.
to .org. That's something different.
Yeah.
That is strange. Strangecurrencies.com. Lots
.edu.
of cool content there.
Lots of cool. I'm sure by the time this episode airs, there's going to be some more catalog crawls out there. I'm confident that I can say by the time we're done with this one. I kind of hinted at it last time we recorded. Well, a couple times ago, but
it's in the process.
There's a Mountain Goats one that should be out
nice.
there.
Big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good old John Darnielle and the gang. Yeah.
82 albums worth?
30 is what I
wow.
arrived at. It's a lot of fucking albums.
That is a lot.
Prolific. I threw a couple of compilations in there because I think it's some of his best work. But
Sweet.
So there's that. There's Instagram talking Beach Boys.
yeah,
Eat some more
followed
followers.
by a Beach Boy.
Followed by a Beach Boy, a part-time Beach Boy, Bobby.
Bobby,
Bobby something like
Figueroa.
Bobby Figueroa. I knew that.
Thanks
I
for
knew
listening,
that. I knew
Bobby.
that.
Too. We appreciate it.
I wonder if he's listening. Because like maybe some people.
Hey, maybe he knows
on
about
Instagram, maybe without being listeners.
Maybe he knows if Carly Munoz really did the organ solo.
I don't think
on
they
that.
overlapped.
I think there was overlap at the time.
But I don't know. He knows something.
He knows a lot of stuff.
He's
that
probably
we
got,
would love to have access.
Yeah, he's got anecdotes. I want to hear about Bill Walton and dirt on Mike Love. Absolutely.
Well, reach out and see if we can get an interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm reaching out right now. Well, maybe I'll message him.
Okay.
But see if I do that now, then by the time this airs, then we're going to be best friends with him, and this is all going to be dated.
Wow.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
I mean, that's an optimistic.
Or he could shun us and punch us in the face for our stupid takes on the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
He does follow us.
Maybe
he hate follows us.
Maybe
he's a doom scroller.
It could be.
You know, we are not Beach Boys apologists.
Nope.
We are free to point out that we are critical often, but that's part
We're
of
not paid by anybody.
That's part of the
beauty. We are not beholden to Big Beach Boy.
We don't even have jobs. Wait.
God no.
That's part of the beauty of this whole endeavor with the Beach Boys is there's a lot to love and a lot not to love.
There's a lot to hate. And super ironically, the thing that we hate the most is the thing that we're supposed to love by name.
Yeah. Here it is.
It's so poetic. Let's take a break. And we're going to come
So
back
we can
and
ponder.
Yeah. I'm really thinking about the world now. I'm thinking about this whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to come back and we'll talk about the thing we're talking about this week. And we're back on Talking Down the Highway. And this week we are talking about, well, we already hinted about it last week. I believe it's called The Summer That Never Ends.
Billy and the Clonosaurus.
Yes, the bus that couldn't slow down.
It's called Endless Summer.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Which, of course, Mike
That's
Love.
poetic, too.
Mike Love takes credit for that.
Yeah.
Of course, this is a good 9 years after the documentary, The Endless Summer. So it's not like he came up with the
Wait
term.
a second. Wait a second.
Are you suggesting that Mike Love was not completely forthcoming about...
Well,
he's a titles guy.
Yeah, he's a
I read
titles
that
guy.
on the
That's
Wikipedia.
right.
Yeah.
All right, wait. Okay, tell us this.
Well,
Give us some context here.
So first of all, this is not this is a Capitol Records release because they're seeing this momentum the Beach Boys are building, and they're like, shit, we own all this material from before Pet Sounds, or I guess including Pet Sounds, but But what are we doing? We're sitting on a gold mine. So they're like, let's throw together this compilation and rake in some bucks. And at some point...
Well, American Graffiti had recently come out.
Right.
And All Summer Long is on there. And
Surf and Safari.
Also.
Yeah. All Summer Long, even though the movie is set in 62, that came out in 65. Correct. Still, it's the end credits. And it's weird because it comes right after it's like, this guy went off and died in Vietnam.
Exactly.
But it actually, it works. It strikes that balance of like a longing for a simpler time and like... It won't be long until summertime is through.
Yeah,
and
there's that melancholy that we've talked about a lot. That's at the core of
the
that
movie
song.
ends at the end of summer when like they're graduating and going off into the wind.
No spoilers.
Oh, wait, okay. Are you saying the Beach Boys were ahead of their time, or they're
that's the thing,
behind the times?
That's the thing about this compilation. This was I don't know if this was Capitol's intention or if it was just a money grab, but because of what was going on in that time with with Nixon and everything like that.
Wait a minute. Sounds like it's time for an episode of Nixon Notes. All right, it's Nixon Talk, where we talk all things Nixon. 1974
wasn't a crook.
Nixon gets canned.
Was he impeached or did he?
No, he resigned.
Well, I know he resigned, but he wasn't like impeached first, but then resigned. before conviction.
No, he was not
anything.
impeached. Okay. He gave the classic, American line: "You can't fire me, I quit."
Right.
Would he have been impeached? Yeah, it's pretty likely. Would he have been removed from office?
That's
doubtful, but you never know.
Has he already shaken hands with Elvis at this point?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're already. Yeah. Elvis has his FBI credentials at this point.
No, he was Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, I believe. Right. Okay. Yeah. So Nixon.
Solid episode.
We hardly knew ye.
Wait, I saw.
And we're not done.
Real quick. This is just popped into my head while we were talking about Nixon. It was in my subconscious. I saw a couple weeks ago a picture of Jim Henson meeting Nixon.
Ooh.
And, he wasn't like a fan of Nixon or anything. And he was like, okay, shook his hand and everything. And he looks really puzzled in this photo. Mm-hmm. And later his wife or somebody asked him why. And he said, well, because Nixon, the only thing he said to me was, wait, was this Nixon? This might not have been Nixon now. I might be screwing this whole thing up. But
damn it.
He said, I knew a guy in school that had a beard or something like that. It's just like some dumb thing about his beard, and that was the only. It's just so awkward. Anyway, now someone's going to tell me it wasn't
Nixon. Nixon did have a fear of the bearded.
Well, send corrections.
Tried to deport John Lennon from U.S. and
send your Richard Nixon corrections and revisions to Talking Down the Highway.
Wait. I got it.
Beach Boys.
Yep, there it is. It was Nixon.
Okay, well, that sounds like something Nixon would say.
He said,
awkward as fuck.
His only comment of note was, I knew someone in the Navy with a beard. That's what it was. Okay.
In the Navy.
Anyway, that's my Nixon talk contribution.
Hey, good episode of Nixon.
Solid episode.
Not bad for only the second episode. All right, so back to this whole money grab and nostalgia.
Well, it ended up resonating with the public because, it was a good about 10 years after these hits initially came out. And,
political turmoil.
There was a lot of
Vietnam
political music.
On.
There was a lot of political music that was just so much more overt. And then here you have these guys. It's just some weird juxtaposition, I guess, that it happens when you listen to this music. Imagine you're in those times, in the middle of that turmoil, listening to this music, and you can kind of apply something to it, like a cynicism or I don't know what. There's like a darkness that is almost there, even though it wasn't intended at the time. Yeah. But this sold like crazy. It went triple platinum, 3 million copies. The Mike Love thing, as far as the title, he takes credit for the sales too, because
it wouldn't have sold without the title.
Yeah, he was saying, Capitol I was talking to them, and they wanted to call it, the Best of the Beach Boys, Volume 3 or something. And I was like, no, man, call it Endless Summer. It'll sell so much better. And of course it did. Yeah, it was all me. That's the reason.
What a fucking tool! All right, you know what? It's time for an episode of Heroes and Villains. It's Heroes and Villains. We discuss the heroes and the villains, whatever it is we happen to be talking about this week. And this week we're talking about Endless Summer. Heroes.
Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. Well, no, I mean, yeah, but maybe George Lucas.
He did steal that idea of a movie though, about the guy who travels back in time for some reason, and his best friend is a talking pie. Yeah. So I don't know about Ron Howard, but
George Lucas, though, I would say,
American
honestly,
Graffiti.
like however you feel about the Star Wars prequels, American Graffiti is fucking incredible.
Oh, it is. It's great.
So good.
Yeah. Very poignantly, it was playing in the theaters last summer, kind of on a whim, and my daughter and I went to go see it, and it was her idea to go see it, and it was literally the day before she left for college. Yeah, it was. That's cool. Yeah, it was.
I saw
it was
it
a special moment for the two of us, and
yeah. I saw it in the theater too. Last summer.
Hero. I mean, the guy who fucking wrote all these songs.
Yeah,
Brian Wilson, the eternal hero of the endless summer. So we love you, Brian. Of
course,
we love you.
Yeah. Villain.
Richard Nixon.
Nixon's a villain, definitely.
In general.
I mean, he did know a guy with a beard.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Once he saw a blimp.
I don't remember that.
This has turned into just a random Simpsons reference episode.
Anyway,
did you ever see a man say goodbye to a shoe?
Once. One time, yes, or whatever he says.
You were right the first time. All right, the villain's fucking Mike Love.
It's Mike Love.
You know, one of the things I'm reminded of with this is our maybe the best episode of either of the podcasts that we've ever done, the Beach Boys Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
And we were talking, I believe it was in that episode, that it was like a bio, I think, that Glenn had found or something, and it was talking about the twin, creative minds behind the Beach Boys, and it had talked about Mike Love's brilliant concept album, Endless Summer.
Right.
And the concept is, we want to put out a new product that has nothing new part of it. We're just going to repackage old stuff because we want to make some money. And what a fucking brilliant concept, Mike. Bravo.
That's weird, though, because I didn't see anything about him taking credit for the track order or anything like that.
No, just the title. The title's what sold it.
That was it. That was what did it.
The title's sexy. Come on.
But I don't know if this is
titles from the hot
intentional, but according to Peter Ames Carlin in the Catch a Wave book, he does make it sound like the sequencing was intentional in some way. This is another four-sider. He says they're vaguely thematic sides. Side 1 is set on the beach. Side 2 starts at school and then zooms off onto the highway until the start of Side 3, when the album settles into a double-sided collection of ballads to girls, real and imagined, that ends with All Summer Long, or on the CD, Good Vibrations. So maybe some thought did go into it, but I don't... So I guess, you could almost think of it as a concept compilation, I suppose, but but Mike doesn't have anything to do with that.
No. Brilliant concept.
Yeah.
The concept was Mike wanted more money.
Yes.
And he found a way to get it.
I think Capitol wanted more money, but
they did too.
Yeah.
So did Brian get any money from this then? If Capitol owns Sea of Tunes?
Yeah, I don't know.
When did Sea of Tunes lose all of those?
That was because you're talking publishing rights versus royalty versus
and then they sued Cap. I don't even.
So
remember.
Capitol put this out because Capitol's making money, but they're not Capitol artists anymore. But they're still getting they've
got to get
writer credits for some of this. So maybe Capitol's villainous here too.
Probably.
I think also Capitol is probably a nominee for the villain here because this album is a result of them having milked Brian Wilson.
Literally milked him.
Literally milked him.
Literally were milking him.
I didn't know about that.
That's why he disappeared all that time.
That's weird.
He was in the offices of Capitol Records, literally being milked.
They hook him up to one of those suction machines like the cows. Ugh.
Really, really disturbing.
Yikes.
Yeah. But I think this album probably wouldn't have happened if they hadn't just squeezed everything out.
Well, they sucked him dry.
Stop. But
quit with the metaphor, Glenn.
But the point here is if you step back and look at all of these. These are some incredible songs without filler.
It's an objectively great collection of songs.
A great collection of songs without filler. This is a greatest hits. This could have been 3 albums I don't know, 2 albums.
Well, yeah, I talked about
of that time span.
yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of output the Beatles had.
Look, we love this band.
Is that too much?
Yes, that's too much. But it's a fucking great collection of music. It is. It's unimpeachable, unlike Nixon. But it's great. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back and maybe talk about some of the song selection elements of this and what they did and didn't decide to include as part of it. But yeah, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
And we're back talking down the highway, a Beach Boys podcast, and we are looking at the brilliant concept album by Mike Love and the Passions.
I just want to say something about
Mike Love
this,
is the Passion.
Endless Summer album is that they look a little familiar there on the cover.
Oh, wait a minute. Sounds like it's time for an episode of Sound of Vision. That's right. It's time for Sound of Vision, where we discuss all things aesthetic using the scale provided to us by David Bowie. Glenn, if we really like something, we call it
It's low.
a low. That is David Bowie's masterpiece. Yeah, Tim, if we don't like it, we call it a
Never Let Me Down.
Never Let Me Down, in which David Bowie definitely loves David. Mm-hmm. You know, in 1974, David Bowie was in the middle of a fucking run.
Yeah.
Good God. Like, by this point, he'd already released, Hunky Dory and Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane. I mean, Diamond Dogs is the album that comes out in 74.
Is this a segment within a segment?
It is, yeah. I mean, but he's on the verge of Station to Station, Low.
I don't like Low.
Heroes. Fuck.
I don't like Low at all.
And then there's a couple of middle ground. We're like, it's all right. Let's dance. David Bowie's okayest album.
So what I was going to say
do we need
about
to reopen
this,
Heroes and Villains because don't like Low?
Let's put a pin in that.
It's his
go to
greatest
hell.
album.
You know I don't like Low.
Go to hell.
It's not
Go to
good.
hell.
But this I was going to say about this cover is it looks very similar to a certain podcast's logo. I would say in the way that the members of the band look like weird trolls.
There does seem to be a similarity to a podcast.
Is there a
Trolls
related podcast?
If they were weird, ugly cartoons in the jungle of Smiley Smile, it might look a lot like our logo.
It might. That's interesting. It's interesting that the logo of our podcast is a collection of Smiley Smile and Endless Summer.
I feel like Endless Summer is an homage to the Smiley Smile. Like I feel like that's deliberate.
The artwork.
Yeah. Well, no. I think it's fitting that Smiley Smile is this like bizarre, strange compliment to Endless Summer's genius concept album.
Yeah. I mean, this
work
of those two things. This is definitely more genius.
I think those two pieces kind of speak to the friggin' weirdness of the Beach Boys.
Back to the cover, though.
Yeah, the cover.
We're in an episode of Sound and Vision.
This is another artwork, right?
Artwork cover.
And I generally do like those. And this one, it wraps around, like the whole cover, front and back, is one piece. And then the interior, the gatefold is also like
a piece, a connection.
And
so I like the front. I don't like the back.
Who the hell's who?
Okay, who's who? I think I have it figured out.
well, there's Brian.
All right, Brian clearly is down in the corner.
Yeah,
that's
Brian.
clearly
He's got
Brian.
the dimple chin.
I posit that that's Mike Love right above him, and here's why.
I think so.
Because we can see everyone else's head,
Right.
Yeah.
except
And
for
they,
that one,
and they just obscure it.
and they obscure his
by a wave, 'cause
bald
he's
dome.
fucking bald. Yeah.
And so I think that leaves him.
That's Al.
I think Al is in the top left.
Yeah.
right?
Top right.
No. Yeah, top right.
That's Al?
Yeah. I would say that's Al because the surfboard one is Dennis. I would say.
Yeah.
The weird wall-eyed, it's a horrifying image. His eyes are not pointing in the same directions. He's in a surfboard,
and neither are presumably. This is Carl. Carl on the right reading.
So that's
Army
Carl
War featuring Sergeant Rock.
Sergeant Rock.
Yeah. Their eyes are all not.
I feel like on the front, I feel like that's Carl, and that maybe this is Dennis and this is Al.
Al is more of a blonde. He's got lighter hair.
Yeah.
Dennis is like sun-washed, I guess.
That's why I think this is Al. I don't know.
Yeah, but Dennis, I think without the beard.
Okay, the real question
he's
is
on a surfboard.
The real question is
Actually,
who's in
Roger
the bikini?
Daltrey. Oh,
who's in the bikini? That's the real
I don't
question.
even know. They look like weird mutants. But
can we agree that this is Bruce Johnston on the middle?
No,
I
think he's in the hot dog stand.
Well, I had said earlier, I don't think it's Bruce Johnston because, like, he's wearing a hat, and hats don't exist big enough for Bruce Johnston's head. So, plus he was out of the band at this point. Like, fuck that guy.
I want to point out just that Carlin seems to think that this is this artwork is another thing that propelled this popularity of the album, which is I don't know if that's true.
It's only the title. Only the title. It's not the music. It's not the album cover. But it's not the sequence of songs. It is only the title. That's why it sold.
The way he describes the faces on the album, he makes them sound really like interesting and romantic. And then I got here. I don't have this one, so didn't really remember exactly what they all look like, and it's just funny how scary they are compared to the way he's describing them. Just like they look like the Manson family.
They are frightening.
But it's interesting, that this is their '70s look with the beards and everything. When the album contains nothing but '60s stuff.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and give it a rating here.
It's a concept. It's a concept.
Yes.
This is them.
They're still 60s, in the midst of that endless summer.
It hasn't ended.
In the 70s. I actually love it. I'm giving it a low.
I think I can live with that. Mm-hmm. I'm not as adamant that it's a low. But I also feel like maybe
it's more than a Let's Dance.
Maybe a Let's Dance is selling it a little bit short.
Right.
So if I've got to choose between those, I'd say it's a light low. It's like it's a light low.
It's pretty low.
I am going to say Never Let Me Down.
No!
It's plagiarized. The title it has been thieved from a documentary. This is
and the artwork is stolen
larceny,
from us, right?
We stole the artwork in attempt to get back at Mike Love for stealing. No, it's whatever. Let's Dance. I like the cover. I like the cover. The back is obnoxious. The inside is dumb. It's trying to be edgy and cool, and I think it achieves that on the cover. But it's not like Sgt. Pepper.
Sure. Like, yeah, they use the same artist for the following two compilations, Spirit of America and Sunshine Dream.
Yeah, I always see that Spirit of America one. I've never bought it, but
it was a very quick follow up to this one. Apparently,
I'm surprised he didn't get sued for that. It's got Mickey Mouse on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, good episode. Went on a little long, but whatever.
Solid.
All right. So I guess we're gonna talk some track selection now.
So here's the interesting thing about this album. I think that
brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Concept album.
It's a brilliant concept album. The concept is, let's imagine that Capitol hadn't bled us dry, milked us dry, and forced us to throw all of these filler tracks. And let's imagine we can just put this era, what is 62 to 65? If we can take 1962 to 1965, these 3 years, if we can just distill those into the gems, the output of that, what would that be? And this is the album. And I think the point is, if you thought that the Beach Boys were square, it's 1970 what? 74 now. If you are tired of hearing that the Beach Boys are square and that they had one good album in Pet Sounds and everything else is garbage, you didn't bother to buy all of those early albums because they were trash. which maybe some of them were. This is a great place to start and rediscover the gold of that era and what built the Beach Boys.
Right.
Because I think if you don't own, should you own Surfin' Safari?
I'm a completist. So
I'm a completist too.
I
own them. I believe you should. But if you're not going to, this is a great place to start. Yeah. And if you picked up this double disc album, which again, triple platinum, so there's tons lying around in the used record store bin, you can't go wrong with this. Right. This is great to throw on and hear the 60s.
It does include though, like, recordings from at least 4 really good albums.
Yeah.
So it's not just collecting songs that were on trash albums.
This is a good, like, but you're right. Like, this is a good, I mean, it's a good compilation. If you have a friend who you're like, you don't like the Beach Boys, here, listen to this. And then, maybe they can pick their starting point from there as far as full albums. But I was going to say, you were talking about how there's no filler, and that's true. But what I like is that they include songs that maybe weren't huge hits or maybe people don't necessarily know, like The Warmth of the Sun. Let 'Em Run Wild is on here, I think.
Yep.
Like, that's a great one.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And they're great
a lot
songs,
of those songs get lost because it's right next to friggin' Sunny versus...
Right, I see what you mean. Yeah, so this is a good... It really highlights... Not just the most popular songs, but really some of the best songs.
That maybe were missed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. And I think a lot of... Because, sure, everybody heard Surfin' Safari and, Surfin' USA and Little Deuce Coupe, but did you also know, Warmth of the Sun, In My Room? I'm sure they probably had, hopefully.
Yeah. It is a little interesting that they cut it off when they did, because I can get, no pet sounds. They want to maybe preserve the sanctity of that record as its own thing.
Yeah.
But there were some massive hits, obviously, on that album.
Yeah.
But the fact that it doesn't have Good Vibrations is telling, really kind of interesting.
And they would slap that on at the end of the CD.
Apparently,
release.
The fact that it doesn't have Barbara Ann, for instance, which was a big hit. I mean, it's just a toss-off, but it was a huge hit. So it's kind of interesting that it doesn't include that.
And they do some interesting things where they, a couple of the hit singles that are on here, they put the album versions on instead of the hit single
They
version.
made a really weird choice to go with the version of Help Me Rhonda.
Yeah. That's right, because this is the ukulele one.
They went with the version on Today and not instead the version that is on Diez de Verano y también dos noches!
Oh, that was for. But they did make the correct choice in picking the album version of Be True to Your School. Because that's
false.
Better.
False.
So much better.
No.
The single version is cheesy. And I hate Low.
And the Beach Boys are never cheesy at all. Like,
and I hate Low.
All right, well...
God, you are full of bad takes today.
So...
just fade up and fade out all the songs and then do a bunch of weird yelling.
One interesting thing about... Well, can we talk about this concept album for a moment?
Yeah.
This
Brilliant
glorious, genius concept album. The first side, the A side... is what, the surfing?
Yeah, it's all surf. And by the way, I was a little surprised that they're not all in chronological order. They almost are. But they'll go into like 64 and then back to 63 with Surfing USA. But yeah, these are all surfing songs. I don't know if Warmth of the Sun was necessarily a surfing song, but yeah.
Well, but it kind of gives that. Surfer
it's a
Girl,
beach song, yeah.
Catch a Wave, Warmth of the Sun, Surfing USA. Is there a surfing song that's missing here?
I mean, there's some. Yeah, but you mean that deserves to be on here?
Yeah, that deserves to be on here. Like, I mean, I think... I think
Don't Back Down, but yeah.
This looks like a solid 5 to capture that era. I think it's just enough. It's not too much. It's not... I mean, gosh, they put out, 3 surf albums? Like, surf-heavy albums?
Yeah.
Surfing Safari, Surfing USA, Surfer Girl.
Surfer Girl, yeah.
And so I think this is a tasteful dip into that kind of surfing
and it's
era.
it kind of alternates between rock songs and ballads.
A couple ballads, yeah.
It's like, you got
Warmth
Surfer
of the
Girl,
Sun,
but then
Surfer
Catch a
Girl.
Wave, and then back, Warmth of the Sun. So it's good, well-balanced side.
Yep. It rides the highs and the lows of the wave, right?
I like it.
Oh, wow. What a great concept.
Brilliant concept
Brilliant.
album.
Genius. Okay.
And then the second half of the first half.
Right. So then the B
We
side
get into cars and like teenage antics and stuff like that with Be True to Your School, the superior version. Little Deuce Coupe, which I like. There's a couple of like Hot Rod songs missing. I like all their car songs. I don't know if I would have put
Our
409
Car Club?
on here. Yeah, our Car Club 409 I like a lot, but I understand. I think Deuce Coupe and Shutdown are probably maybe the two best ones.
I mean, maybe 409.
I do like Shutdown. I do like 409.
409 should have been here instead of
They
Be
can't
True to Your
pick
School.
them all. What else is on here? In My Room, Beautiful, Fun. These are the rockers.
Yeah.
Where's Bowl Sessions with the Big Daddy?
All right, so here's the thing. This was the part of the compilation album that got me running to make my playlist. You had alluded earlier, Tim, during the break that you had made your own.
Yeah, and I mentioned
Endless
this a couple
Summer.
weeks ago.
And so I went and made a playlist to answer this one.
Well, okay. Do you have ones that aren't on Endless Summer that you think should have been?
No.
Okay.
I made an alternate universe. I answered the yin to this yang, and instead of Endless Summer, I created a playlist, the complimentary playlist, Endless Bummer. And I took every song that should have been off.
Beck beat you to that. It's a Beck song. Or is it? No. What is Endless Bummer? Corvette Bummer is a Beck song. Anyway, go on.
Anyways, my Endless Bummer has great hits such as County Fair,
10 Little Indians.
10 Little Indians,
Chug-a-lug. Give me some.
At the drive-in?
I left off at the drive-in. That was a close
But
call.
only you can prevent forest fires.
No Bull, Surfer.
Oh, yeah. I like that one.
That's on my Endless
Surfer.
Bummer. Finders Keepers. South Bay
Actually,
Surfer.
I actually like this idea.
I put Our Car
Yeah.
Club on Endless Bummer. I cannot stand Our Car Club.
Okay.
Boogie Woody is on there.
I can't stand that they left Mike out of their car club. That was cold.
Spirit of America.
Yeah.
No Go Showboat. Of course, the single, the lead single from Endless Bummer, Cassius Love versus Sonny Wilson.
God.
Maybe a surprising choice. I went with Louie Louie.
Yeah,
On the Endless Bummer.
that covers trash.
Oh wait, no. I do have.
Well, they combine both versions.
Oh wait, I do have Drive-In. I do.
Oh, good.
I have Drive-In. Our favorite recording sessions. Carl's,
Denny's drums.
I didn't put Denny's drums.
Carl's Big Chance.
I put Carl's Big Chance in there. Do you remember?
See, I initially I liked this concept, but you're getting into such like truly horrible ones that I'm liking it less and less. Like I like the cheesy, like the Chug-a-lugs and stuff like that are still fun, even though they're dumb and not very good. I would listen to a compilation of those.
What about Amusement Park USA?
Yep, that's
that
on
Salt Lake
there.
City.
Salt Lake City's
Salt
on
Lake
there.
City, I would listen to.
I'm bugged at my old man.
I like that song.
Bull Session with Big Daddy.
Bullshit.
This is where I went off the rails though at the end
Isn't
here.
it the Big Daddy? That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
I actually included the Beach Boys party in my Endless Bummer, and there
whole
weren't any. Probably could have.
Oh,
no. I actually made mine comparable. Mine is 22 tracks, 47 minutes.
Okay.
The Endless Summer is 20 tracks, 46 minutes. And so I closed out my Endless Bummer with 2 tracks from the Beach Boys party, Papa Ooh Mau Mau, and the classic, The Times They Are A-Changin'.
Okay.
Just because it's so obnoxious that they gag their way through a heartfelt.
Al really liked that song. So what I
Well,
did.
yeah, the original. Is
I didn't really
amazing.
I didn't do a Endless Summer necessarily. I've just been going through the different sort of stages of the Beach Boys and picking my favorite songs out. And the only one I have from this first side that isn't on this first side, but just from the same era, is The Lonely Sea.
Yeah, Lonely Sea's great.
Yeah.
Yep. That should be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, good song selection.
All right. Well, hey, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about the second disc.
Side C and D.
All right.
we're back talking about Endless Summer. It's a compilation designed by Mike Love.
No, it's a brilliant concept album.
Concept album.
Right.
Named by Mike Love, and as we know, the naming of things is all that sells.
That's right. He's a titles guy.
He's a titles guy.
So yeah, I mean, this is still, yeah, you're right. This only really, it only goes to 65. So it's like the list. I mean, it's a pretty short era, very specific era. So
But it's like 8 albums.
Well, they put out a lot.
It's 8 out. That's my point. It's
gotcha.
8 albums that they put out that they were kind of forced or made to put out, and poor Brian is like.
Well, and we've talked about in previous episodes, like there's a lot of filler on those albums. So yeah, these are the highlights.
How many albums did the Beatles put out in that time frame?
It depends on if you're like talking about the American version.
Yeah.
Theirs is a little bit tougher to kind of, I don't know, quantify,
and they were
perhaps, but
generally
if you're talking
better
like
off
the canon,
the
if
canon.
you're talking the canon British albums, so what are we talking? 62
to 65.
Please me with the Beatles, Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, Rubber Soul. So
was Rubber Soul? Yeah, was that 65?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. 6 albums.
Okay. This is 8 albums.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think their hit rate, the Beatles' hit rate, was better.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
Although I really think Beatles
by
for Sale,
a lot better.
Beatles for
Right.
Sale is bullshit. But it's like the
No-
low. It's
no
like the low
Reply?
of the Beatles. Well, I mean, there's a couple good songs on it, but
I mean,
like,
to start that first 3 songs stretch.
yeah. But then it's like, isn't rock and roll music on there? See, I don't like that.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's bad.
That song isn't.
Anyway, so
But it's still the fucking Beatles.
So here we are.
this is side 3.
If we're telling the story of the Beach Boys 62 to 65, we talked about surfing.
Right.
We talked
So
about cars and
this is
school.
more. This is like,
Now the seaside is about the girls.
I don't know. This is like, I feel like this side isn't as thematic necessarily.
Girls by the Seaside.
I get
Girls on
around
the
so,
Beach?
but the first track is like one of the most essential, I think, Beach Boys tracks for this era. Is I get
iconic.
around.
Iconic. Great.
Famously from The Flight of the Navigator, I believe it was written for the soundtrack.
It was written for that movie.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's a good one. Girls on the Beach is on here, which I actually don't really care about that much. That song.
I like it, but I'm looking at
Yeah.
like what has been left off. Like they
Yeah.
don't have
Well, let me show
2 of
you
my
mine.
very, very favorites. Please Let Me Wonder and She Knows Me
She
Too
knows
Well.
me too well.
Like,
Those are on my
gorgeous.
yeah. I have She Knows Me Too Well and In the Back of My Mind.
I was gonna say I knew you were gonna have the back of my mind
Right.
because you talk about Dennis like having a stroke or something as he's singing. It.
Right. Those are the only 2 that they don't include that I do include. But I mean, I was being very selective with this list. But yeah, so there's Girls on the Beach, which maybe I would have swapped out with something else. Wendy, I think, is great. It's like not one of my top songs, but I do like.
Sorry, I did do the cough in honor of the cough in that song.
Oh, that's right. But it's a good one. Let 'Em Run Wild, I like a lot. This is one that like I might be missed or underappreciated, and it's good that it's on here because it is a really good song. And then Don't Worry Baby, obviously,
That is
like
my
peak of
all-time.
this era. This is like
That is
probably the top.
maybe one of
song.
my top 5 favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really hard. There's some in here that it's hard to pick. Like if you were going to ask me my absolute favorite song of this era, it's tough. That would probably be it.
Yeah,
But I love I
Don't
Get
Worry
Around
Baby's
and I
mine.
love California Girls.
In My Room is great.
In My Room, yeah.
See,
yeah.
Surfer.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's tough.
There's some real all timers on here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This era is glorious, and if people hear Beach Boys and they think, oh, they have that one good album, Pet Sounds, you're missing out.
Well, and
That's
like
my point.
as we've demonstrated with however many episodes, 28 that we've done of this podcast, like it's a kind of a commitment to actually go through and listen to every album in full.
It is. It is.
And familiarize yourself with them. So
in its highs and lows.
sometimes a good compilation
and
is
this
necessary.
this is a great,
Yeah. So side 4, track 1, California Girls. It's a cover, I think,
Great.
of a Van Halen song.
Katy Perry is.
Oh, okay. No,
Wait.
California Girls.
Brian loves the California Girls, or
it's-
the Van Halen version.
By the
Hey,
time
you know what though? It's Mike who really is the ladies' man.
That's right. That's right.
California Girls.
Guilty as charged.
I'm just like ignoring both of you. Is it's kind of a throwback at this point when it comes out to like their sort of whatever surf stuff, but it's so good. That intro,
Yeah.
we talked about this, but
intro's glorious.
And even the song itself is just such a good song. Girl Don't Tell Me it's their things I
Ticket to
said
Ride.
today. It kind of has that too also. But it's like their Beatles sort of ish song.
Oh, yeah. Totally Ticket to Ride. Good
Yeah.
Carl's great on it. Yeah.
Help Me Rhonda. And again, we said this
Lesser
is like
version.
the lesser version of that.
Al's not quite as sexy as he needs to be.
Right.
But
You're So Good to Me. So I think actually the inclusion of Girl Don't Tell Me and You're So Good to Me are interesting choices because they sound like different bands. Like where they each sound like a band that is not the Beach Boys.
interesting.
Like you got a Beatles-esque thing, and this I think is like kind of a Smokey Robinson or something. I don't know. It's very soul, very Motown. Yeah. I like that song a lot. That's on my compilation too. And then All Summer Long, which is, honestly, I think in the context, even though it's just kind of thrown up there suddenly at the end of the movie, something about the context of American Graffiti with that song, it elevates it.
Yeah.
And it's great, but like, I don't know if it would really have stood out all that much to me if not, thinking about you just watch these kids, this is their last hurrah, they're going off to war and whatever. Like it really kind of strikes that perfect tone.
Yeah.
And then Good Vibrations, the bonus track on the CD. It's a pretty terrible song.
No, it's not.
It does not
We're not
exist.
we're not talking about the CD
It's,
version.
it's just like it's a jumble of different recordings. And
We're
it's
not
just
talking about the
not-
CD version.
Stop it.
so
No,
it's
stop it.
confusing.
No pocket
and,
symphonies in there.
You got some idiot, do do ba do do do. Yeah, it's just no good.
Anyway,
No good.
All right, so all right, 22 songs,
Yeah.
And we mentioned
some real bangers.
I mean, maybe Barbara Ann should have been on here.
I don't miss it too much.
right.
I don't miss anything on here.
The only
honestly.
thing that raises an eyebrow really is Girls on the Beach, which I would have put something else in the place of it, but nothing. I don't feel like there's any real.
I would have put
horrible,
something. The only horrible
omissions.
is "Be True to Your School," which is on my Endless Bummer playlist.
So good. There's no glaring omissions. I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like we said,
I have personal favorites. Again, like She Knows
Yeah.
Me Too Well is one that
Right,
I would
right.
sub out a few of these for that. But
That's pretty good to have a compilation of a greatest hits compilation and not really have any misses. I mean,
that's what a greatest hits is supposed to be, or at least a best of is supposed to be.
yeah, but when you're putting out 3 different ones over the course of, because this would have been their third greatest
guess.
hits.
Well,
it was.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And
And
this
some
one
of
was
these-
different. It was kind of a little bit of a reset, totally different era kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I just think this was thoughtfully done. There's so many different, best of compilations from different, kind of legacy artists like this that are kind of all over the place, and they don't all always include everything.
Yeah.
And this one is pretty spot on. This is what you need. This is the pre Pet Sounds era that you need.
And like we said, Capitol did have the rights to Pet Sounds, and they could have put like God Only Knows or whatever on there. But I think they were really going for this sort of style, this era.
This nostalgia kind of throwback.
Yeah.
well, before we talk about this brilliant concept album's impact, let's go ahead and just rate it. I know we usually save that to the very end, but we're going to talk a little bit more like legacy of this, I suppose.
Okay.
So if we're rating it on our scale, what do we give it?
Yeah. I mean,
It's always, difficult to rate a compilation,
Right.
of previously released stuff, but
yeah, because like, I mean, a best of Brian songs would theoretically be a Brian.
yeah, it's a Brian. It's
Yeah,
a Brian.
It's a Brian.
All right, hold. Yeah, all right.
Yep.
It feels right.
Okay.
It feels right. It's a
Feels
Brian.
right.
I was gonna say Dennis, but okay.
No, this is a Brian. It's only consideration to be a Dennis because Mike Love claims that he created it.
Yeah,
But
that's
I don't think
problematic.
we should allow that. I think we should say yes. This is a tribute
I think.
to Brian.
Sure.
62
I
to
guess-
65. This is Brian.
I guess what would make it a Dennis or a Brian for me would be losing Girls on the Beach and replacing it with She Knows Me Too Well.
No, it's still a Brian.
I think it's still a Brian. It is just 22 really, really great songs.
It's
I
a
mean,
Den- Dennis
if you're
point
only
nine.
gonna if you're gonna only own the Bryans, you're gonna own
Sure.
Pet Sounds.
Yeah.
You're gonna own Endless Summer.
Throw Good Vibrations on there and it's Brian.
just go by Smiley.
Just go by
Smile, 'cause
Smiley.
Smiley Smiles.
No,
awesome,
go
too.
by. Well, we'll get there.
I just listen to music on Spotify.
All right.
I burned all my physical copies of everything. So yeah, this was a huge hit, triple platinum.
And the beauty is you can find it. You can go down to your local used record store and find a $10 copy.
Right. But going back to the context, this is like, and we were talking about the live album in concert being like the last hurrah. Well, I don't know if we use that term, but for that era of the Beach Boys,
Blondie, Ricky, Carl, and the Passions era.
As good as this is kind of the killing blow. Because it launches them into nostalgia.
Yeah, so that's the only hesitation that I have. Contextually, historically, this album does them dirty. Because I think from here...
Commercially, it helps them because they probably sell more tickets. They start filling arenas.
Right. And maybe what this does, though, sadly, is it maybe re-encourages Mike Love to think that he has figured it out. And he's got the formula.
Not maybe. It definitely does.
And so now, all of a sudden, they just lean into... they're an oldies act now.
They're firmly a nostalgia act at this point. You know, like... The Blondie Ricky era was... I described in my Rate Your Music review of Endless Summer, I think, is like mildly adventurous. Like they're at least trying some new things out. They're not, reinventing the wheel or breaking the mold or whatever adjective or whatever analogy you want to use, but they're at least trying to do something new for them. And even though we, had our conversation, is it the Beach Boys? Is it not? It's still, good stuff. They're like pushing themselves,
and it's original. It's new,
and this now just opens up this whole the remaining existence of the Beach Boys. Basically, is this really transparent attempt to kind of like drum up and tap into nostalgia.
Yeah,
they're going to get a little bit of away from it, maybe perhaps in the late 70s. We're going to talk about some albums there, but like they have basically just found the light. Like, you're no longer going to have, for instance, in 1980, a Beach Boys live album, if such a thing existed, or a live set list, where, like we just talked about with In Concert, they open up with Sail On Sailor, and they play, like, The Traitor, like, that kind of thing. You're not going to have that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they're there to play the fucking hits. Like, they're there to play these songs that are on in the summer because... they know that that's what the audience wants. That's what people are going to buy. So they have basically become a nostalgia act that puts out new albums every once in a while, but where they are really there for the purpose of getting people to come out.
At what point does Brian start joining them on stage again?
The Brian's Back thing coincides, I want to say, with 15 Big Ones, which is in and of itself one. We're going to get there. Like that's our next album we're covering. But it's also just this pretty transparent nostalgia kind of thing. And then they really, really tap into their own mythology and nostalgia with the whole Brian's Back thing. And,
Quick sidebar as far as the Blondie Ricky thing. Apparently Blondie quit because he started to not get along with Mike Love's brother Steve, who was at that point their business manager. So a Love, may have killed that era as well.
Yeah. They just turn into this... I don't know, saccharine nostalgia machine at this point.
Is this where does this in the timeline? Where does this era land with Carl's first solo album? That's later, right? That's in the 80s.
I just saw the cover, the one where he's all like super sexy on the cover of it and everything.
Sultry.
Here, I feel like it was late 70s.
Okay,
but,
maybe. Yeah.
Oh no, it's 1981.
Okay,
81.
So because Carl's doing so well, he's being so creative. And then they become a nostalgia act. And I guess there's a few years there before he really steps out on his own. But I just wonder how he was feeling during this era. I will say one thing I learned from the Carlin book is that Carl was having really bad back problems. And he was having to be at times carried around on a chair to go from room to room. Like he could barely move at certain points.
Weird.
So maybe he was just dealing with that. I don't know. Maybe it was a relief to not have to be, running the show.
He had
so
back
much.
problems because he had to carry the band.
Exactly.
Brian wasn't.
Well, in a way, yeah. So
literally, like he would pick up their whole touring entourage and like trudge them around.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was weird. But so of course because they like toured with a fucking grand piano.
And he
got
carried
Guitarro carrying it. Exactly. Well, I mean, it's also around this time where Dennis gets much more serious about making his own solo record as well, too. Serious enough to where he's not like calling it Dennis Wilson Shits All Over the Place or whatever the working title was. But
Poops.
like
Poops. So maybe this is
and Brian
good
is
timing for
also
everyone.
Brian is also like in that early stage of kind of moving out on his own and doing some stuff too. So like the band effectively has just turned into this new.
And maybe it's better for everyone at this point because it's like they have this little cash generating thing, and then they can kind of work on their own stuff outside of it. I don't know, without having to worry about living up to the expectations of writing new Beach Boys material.
Which they take a year or two off from doing that, which in that time would have been like an eternity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do come back with I had to listen to 15 Big Ones now. So. Anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, they're gonna try to have it both ways. I think by the time of their next album, it's weird. You look at like Holland comes out in 1973. Their next studio album is 15 Big Ones in 1976. Like a 3-year gap between original albums is unheard of for an active band at that time. I mean, you're talking still a lot of bands are putting out 2 records a year, not just 1. So, it's definitely putting them into a new era, and they're gonna, like I said, try to have it like both ways. With we can be contemporary and we can be this band that y'all just come out and hear the hits.
It was really like this band is over, and then it'd be like if the Who started putting out new material now.
I think they did. They have.
Oh, no, whatever. But anyway.
Wait, so you're saying that this is the album that sealed the fate of the Beach Boys as
It's
a
the brilliant
County Fair
concept album.
Yeah.
In which case, I change my rating. It is Never Let Me Down.
That's not an option for rating.
Option.
Come on, Glenn.
That just makes it sad now.
It does make it sad.
It's sad that this is this
this
beautiful
killed the Beach Boys.
piece, and now, now we got to go see
As
Michael.
I said before, they should have just stopped at Surf's Up.
Right.
perform
This is
Papa Oom Mau Mau.
this is a curtain call. This is the end credits.
Okay.
Yeah, and yet here we are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, let's take one more last break, and we'll come back to wrap it all up. Mm-hmm. Up our conversation about Endless Summer.
More like the end of summer.
Yeah. That's sad.
And that was the final episode of Talking Down the
what
Highway.
we could do though?
Hey, we're
Tim?
done talking about the Beach Boys now.
we could just grab our boombox, go down to the beach, soak in the sun, throw this on, throw Endless Summer on, be happy.
My boombox is in the shop.
Sounds miserable. I don't want to do that at all.
I hawked my boombox for a mini disc player 30 years ago.
Just so you could listen to Good Vibrations at the end of
that's right.
Endless Summer.
So, only on the mini disc version.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that was fun.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're going to be back next week.
Ooh.
Talking about, this one's got to be good.
Oh, it's totally going to be. There's big ones.
Big ones.
We have 15 big ones to talk about.
Not just a few, 15 of them.
15 of them.
Big ol' hot Carls.
Yep. All right. I'm looking forward to it. Well, we're going to catch you guys
We'll
next
see you
time.
next
then.
time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Later.
Bye.